Don't jump over, Mark. Was that wrong?
No, I'm glad you got it back on.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna drop that right there.
All right. Once again, thank you all for being here tonight. This is a public meeting being conducted by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. It's on an application by HK Bella's Ranch LLC for proposed water quality permit number WQ001-6844001. Before we start this session, once again, Zeke Kahano is going to make an announcement regarding their services.
Good evening, everyone. In case there's any Spanish speakers in the audience, announcement for them. Buenas tardes, noches. Si alguien quiere participar en esta parte de la reunión en español, por favor vayan a la mesa que está en el fondo del salón con mi compañera. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Zeke. All right, so this is the formal comment session for tonight's public meeting. This will be your opportunity to provide comments for the record that you want TCEQ staff and ultimately the TCEQ's commissioners to consider before they make any final decisions on the application. During this part of the meeting, I'm going to call on you in the order in which you registered and indicated that you wanted to provide comments. When you hear me call your name, please approach the microphone. I'll call you up in groups so that you can be prepared and know that your turn's about to come up. We've got some seats here in the front that are empty that you can sit in while you're waiting your turn. When it's your turn, you come up to the microphone, state your name for the record, even though you hear me call your name. Please state your name. That way when we go back to the agency or listening to the session again, we can be sure who it is that's doing the talking. So state your name for the record and then provide your comments. During this part of the meeting, no one up here is going to respond in the moment. Rather, you'll get a response to your comments. Along with all the written comments that have been submitted, it'll be in one document called the Executive Director's Response to Comments that we talked about at the start of the meeting. I've got 15 folks who registered and signed up to speak. After we're done, there may be others who want to do so as well. And so right now, if you know that you didn't sign up to talk and that you want to, please go back to the registration table. Jessica will pull your form and get you in the queue. But in any event, in order to give everyone kind of an equal opportunity to come up and provide their comments, we'll put you on a 3-minute time limit. 3 minutes sounds like a lot of time, but it's really not. Once you get down to 1 minute, you'll only say 1 minute. Then once you're out of time, I'll say time. You'll need to finish your sentence. Give your neighbors a chance to come up and talk. If 3 minutes is not enough time for you, you can supplement your comments in writing. Again, just head back to the registration table. You can write on the back of a blank registration form, or we have some notebook paper as well. And you can finish your comments that way. If you've already provided comments, either online or mailed them into the agency, those comments are also on the record. You don't need to come up and restate them verbatim. But if you want to hit the highlights, if there's something that you wanted to add, you can do that too. All right, so our first group, we'll start with Elena Berlanga. We'll be followed by Deborah Segovia, then Daryl Stedman, and John Doyle and Jody Doyle. So Elena Berlanga.
Lot sizes, according to the information that we've obtained from...
I'm sorry, your name.
Elena Berlanga, you said it, I'm sorry. 40 by 20. 40 feet by 220 feet is the size of the lots. We're asking that you increase those to half an acre to accommodate septic. Have any issues related to emergency vehicle access been considered for this development? We talked about capacity already. Ranchers and current customers already experience low water pressure. An additional 1,020 connections plus the makeup water that will be required to push the effluent. Those are going to put an additional strain on our community resources. What is the developer's responsibility and documented plan to mitigate the environmental impact? Talking about algae bloom from stagnant pooling effluent, spread of contaminants like E. coli, leptospirosis, mosquitoes that carry diseases, noxious nuisance odors from decomposition, wastewater treatment facility mechanical failures, leaching of effluent into and the chemicals treating the effluent, leaching into our water table, regular testing. Those were concerns. Has that been considered or documented by the developer? The proposed sewer lines, they're going to be crossing the Shannon Ridge water lines at least 6 times. What are the safety measures that are going to be in place during that construction? Has the developer had any documented communications with any of the service providers in Wilson County, like Evergreen Water District, Emergency Management Office, the Hazardous Materials Storage and Use, Floresville ISD, Oak Hills Water still has no knowledge of this plan. And there's the other things that we talked about earlier, and I've already made my public comments on mine, but myself, Andy, and Debbie are with Save Kycaster Creek.
What minute?
We had drone footage captured from the discharge point all the way to San Antonio River, 4.2 miles. This effluent will never reach the river, as we've already discussed. There are 5 significant points, many more, but 5 significant points where it shows pooling would occur. Mathematical analysis shows that even if they supplemented that 250,000 gallons with, say, 250,000 gallons of makeup water, it's still only going to go 0.02 miles per hour. It will never move.
Thank you. Up next is Deborah Segovia.
Deborah Segovia. I am part of the Save Kycaster Creek Board of Directors and a resident in Shannon Ridge. Earlier in the informal section, I had asked the developer if any alternative scenarios had been considered instead of piping effluent through an established neighborhood to Dry Creek. I didn't really get a straightforward answer, so I'm posing it again, and I'm going to tell you what we came up with. We employed the services of a PE who builds wastewater treatment plants around the world. She's doing one right now in Peru. She helped us develop what we call a good neighbor design proposal. And this would be, if you decide that you will not do half-acre home sites that would allow for septic, we're asked, and you do move forward with the 40 by 120 lot design, we can live with that if you will consider our building a better neighbor and a good neighbor design proposal. And what that would do is you would create a very nice natural berm around the wastewater treatment plant that would attenuate noise pollution. You would have dark sky lighting that would mitigate light pollution, and there would be a natural vegetation area around the berm that would serve as a park for the people in this neighborhood. And the effluent discharge point would be directly into San Antonio River after going through underneath 181. Instead of going through, to me this makes much more sense, because otherwise you're going to have to deal with 4 streets in Shannon Ridge, 6 points of water pipe crossing, and from what I understand, you have to bury those sewer pipes 12 inches below the freshwater pipes to avoid contamination. In our minds and in our analysis, this is an equivalent solution, and it's much nicer. We would like to see HK Bella become the benchmark for sustainable and responsible development in Wilson County. And this would do this. This would be a showcase for Wilson County. Our commissioners and our county judge could point to you all and say, this is how we want other developers in our area to manage their projects. And I have those documents for you if you'd like to have them, and I have a representative of it too.
Thank you. Up next is Daryl Stedman.
Hi, my name is Daryl Stedman. This is the second airfield application of HK Bell Ranch, seeking a permit from TCEQ. Past performance is the sole indicator for future behavior, which means HK Development is not acting in good faith or reasonable geographic data in their plan. Neither the state of Texas or Wilson County can afford the financial responsibility of yet another developer walking away from a poorly engineered and constructed private wastewater facility. Due to the elevations at the proposed dumping site, the wastewater will pool and be forced north, creating a disastrous breeding ground for the Earth's most deadly creature, the mosquito. The mosquito kills more people than any other creature on the planet. These dry conditions that we currently have minimize mosquitoes in our area. Caycaster Creek is a drainage ditch at best. Caycaster does not qualify as a waterway under the Texas National Resources Code 11.021 or the 1837 Navigable Stream Statute or the adjoining small bills. This permit violates Texas Health and Safety Code 365.012 and the Texas Water Code, Section 26.121. Texas only owns the waterways and taxes property up to the edge of said waterway. Caycaster has no water. The land is privately owned and intact, nor can HK Bella Ranch suggest injecting the said wastewater into the disposal well. This is based on Environmental Processing Systems LC versus FPL Farming Ltd. in 2015 WL 496336. The simple solution for HK Bella Ranch is to increase the lot size and install private septic tanks at each house. I have 395 meters of Caycaster on my property. We're located about 400 meters from the dump site. The elevation on the south side of Shannon Ridge is 128. Within 100 feet, it goes up to 132.5 feet. My property sits at 125. The water will flow north. A private development company does not have permission to dump wastewater on private property. The negative impact on well water systems, natural life, domestic animals, fowl, and people will be an environmental disaster. Home and property values will plummet. HK Bella Ranch has already been denied the request to dump water on private property in dry Sandpit Creek once already. Deny this request and any further requests from this developer and plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Doyle and Jody Doyle. Let's start with your name, please.
My name is John Doyle, and I'm a conservationist and member of the Wilson County Resource Preservation Project. Let me open by saying I'm not an expert, a licensed civil engineer or surveyor, but I do have a bachelor's in science and chemistry, a few years of organic chemistry research, multiple highly cited scientific articles in high-impact journals, and prior experience with modeling and geospatial reading. In the last few weeks, I've agonized over rasters, hill shades, modeling documentation, model design parameters, drone and orthomosaicing software, and analyzing results. Analysis of the results of the hydraulic model of Caycaster Creek that I produced with the Army Corps of Engineers headgrass modeling software, US 1-meter LiDAR digital elevation model data, and NRCS soil data, alongside plain old common sense geospatial awareness, suggest that this waste effluent is likely to stagnate, pool, and infiltrate significantly in this creek, especially in the first half mile or so. I say this because with an average grade of approximately 0.25% in the first half mile, at 250,000 gallons a day permitted effluent flow rate, my preliminary simulations showed that the effluent's velocity was about 5 centimeters or 2 inches per second. At this speed, water will not effectively convey down the creek and represents a significant risk of stagnation, excessive local infiltration into surrounding soil, and will likely not even make it all the way to the river to be diluted and effectively recharge the aquifer. If so, this infiltration of the stagnant water will very likely negatively impact building foundations and septic leach fields of property owners nearby, and importantly, concentrate pharmaceuticals and other potentially harmful compounds present in the effluent as the water evaporates. As far as I'm aware, there's no monitoring requirement for any concentrated waste effluent that may pool downstream of the discharge point. And residents have no recourse for any dangerous or environmentally hazardous conditions that may arise as a direct result of the concentrated wastewater. Because of these factors, I do not believe that the design parameters of this effluent disposal proposal obey basic principles of good stewardship and good faith and should be either meaningfully rectified or rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so our next group, we'll start with Douglas Mincho.
I'm going to pass because you let these other people have their time.
So you pass?
I'm going to pass, yeah. You didn't like me a while ago.
Terry and Sarah LeBrecq, then followed by Andy Kelly, Sean Gross and George Hill. So Terry and Sarah LeBron. Andy Kelly.
My name's Andy Kelly, and I live in Shannon Ridge. And I prepared this map, contrary to what HK presented. And I want to suggest to TCEQ that when you are sending out notice to people, I know you have like a 1 mile, I guess, limit, you can say. But all of these other people, I mean, you have large ranches, people that raise and sell cattle, show cattle. These people are going to be affected by this, wastewater coming out. So I took it upon myself to send letters from the notice that TCEQ sent to all these people. And these ranchers, everybody's up in arms because they don't want this water pooling. And in fact, some of these areas where it is, it's basically flat. You have fences running across the creek. Their cattle have been, trodden the land. So that would be my suggestion to TCEQ, is maybe send notice to everybody that would be affected.
All right, thank you. Sean Gross.
I'm Sean Gross, and according to the diagram, the red line that you see there, it runs past a lot of my neighbors and close to my property. My point is to look out for my neighbors, and I want to ask you, because according to the document here, it says this is the responsibility of the permittee to acquire property rights as may be necessary to use the discharge route. At what point in time are you going to address my neighbors where that red pipe is running through their property?
Thank you. Next is George Hill. George Hill?
So the question I had a little earlier was whether or not you guys considered your topographical maps. I'm Dr. George Hill. I'm a practicing veterinarian here, 45 years. I am 6th generation from Floresville, and I was raised on the San Antonio River bottom. And there's a little town north of here called San Antonio, and when we have big floods, we dealt with leptospirosis, and we had abortion storms, and we had cattle urinating that looked like pork wine coming out of it. And as a young boy, we had to vaccinate these cattle and vaccinate our way out of abortion storms. So my question I wanted to ask earlier was, did you ever run across any USDA soil and water conservation retaining terraces in your topographical study? And my answer was no, they didn't, but there is one, but it's on my property. I hold back 800,000 gallons of water right in my front yard when it rains. What are you guys going to do when it rains hard? It's not a problem when it's every day, just normal. It's a pretty sunshiny day, but when we get our South Texas floods, I know what San Antonio does. I lived through it. What are you guys going to do? That's what I'm saying. This is going to go all the way to the river. Yeah, when it floods, it's going to go all the way to the river. And all that river bottom, I've got 8 acres of flat down there. It's all going to be flooded, and it's going to be contaminated with pharmaceutical, leptospirosis, E. coli, and everything else that gets dumped. Because when the rains come, you can't hold it back. So I'm asking you to consider enlarging these lot sizes so that we can go to a much more environmentally friendly septic system. The other thing, we're not considering the people that are going to be buying these homes. These people are living in San Antonio and they're paying $1,300 a month to live in an apartment. And honey, we can live in a house for $1,600 a month. But nobody tells them, hey, you got another $350 in taxes every month. And you got another $150 in maintenance. And what about insurance? Good gosh, $180 a month. And then now they've got to drive to San Antonio. Before, they had a 20-minute ride. Now they're going to be driving 1 hour. Now they're going to be replacing their car every 5 or 6 years. And you're going to have these houses that aren't going to be maintained, and you're going to have a slum. You're not being fair to the people that you're selling this to because you're selling them false. I'm asking you to reconsider. And Wilson County ought to set 1/2 acre for a home. And that's what we should have as a moratorium in Wilson County. That's what we should have.
All right, so our next group, we'll start with Ron and Debbie Klimke. We'll be followed by Dave, May, and Stephanie, Colleen Gamble and Robert Gamble, and then Colleen Sanchez. So Ron and Debbie Klimke.
How you doing? Ron Klimke. I live in Shannon Estates. My back property is probably 400 feet from said creek. Close. Right. So everything I have put in my memo here to y'all has been discussed, but I wouldn't bring up best practices, best industry practices. Seems to me that the world's evolving and you guys aren't. Y'all are just checking boxes. They're checking boxes over here for what y'all want. It's all legal, but in reality, a straight pipeline to the river would probably cost you less than everything you're doing to get around that. So I would ask y'all to do the engineering and do the comparison and really study it. Present that to y'all and see if that's acceptable. You would make a whole lot more friends and, you know, be nice there. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, May, and Stephanie. Colleen Gamble and Robert.
My name is Colleen Gamble, and I reside at 115 Turalura Lane. I am 2.3 miles from the proposed effluent discharge point. The effluent discharge site, as proposed in this permit application, is located such that there's not existing infrastructure that will allow this effluent to flow. We've all been over that. So due to the nature of the creek and the bed that's there, the effluent will stagnate and accumulate to unsafe levels. Effluent will build up to the point that it flows over the road, possibly to the north side as well. That is the only legal roadway that I have to access my private property. So when you do this, you will be depriving me of my private property. You will be diminishing my home's value, economically, resale, but more than everything, you will be preventing me from having safe egress and ingress to my personal property. That is a legal and justiciable impact on me personally and on my family that you need to be aware of. As previously stated, this is a dry creek for many miles, including within Shannon Ridge and Bentwood, and that effluent just isn't going anywhere. It's going to sit there, stagnate, and create problems for not just my family, but lots of other families who will say the same thing to you, because the same thing happens in Bentwood. You have one road that allows people access to their property that you're going to contaminate and then impact them. Without any water flowing present there, there's no dilution. You're going to have problems with bacterial levels, algal blooms. You're going to have problems with the wildlife being impacted. We're already seeing that now in Texas. We've got to think about all of this long term. Again, I already submitted all of this in writing to you. You have it. I'm just reiterating that you are depriving my family of our personal rights and property. As far as the long-term management of this facility, everybody in this room knows that as soon as these builders build, they're out of here. They're gone. So who is going to make sure that we have compliance regarding this TCEQ permit long-term? We are. The people in this room are going to do that, but that is technically your job. Thank you.
Thank you.
same kind of things here. We live at the same property, but the proposed discharge site is located on Shannon Ridge Drive at the point that it crosses Kycaster Creek. The only legal roadway to access my property is Shannon Ridge Drive, so I will be affected materially by the discharge of the effluent into the creek. Because the creek is completely dry and has been for years, the treatment plant effluent will surely stagnate and not reach the San Antonio River either, as proposed in the permit application. So the effluent may flow over the roadway at the discharge site. As the only way in and out, I will be affected by not being able to reach my property. So it does become undefined after it crosses Highway 181 and is no longer a creek that will carry the effluent to the river. So I do ask that they send an expert to review the pathway to the river, as it doesn't exist. And the effluent will leach into the water supply and will cause a nuisance odor, as bakes in the Texas sun. This will lead to human health concerns as well as concerns for the use of my property, which will be impacted by nuisance odor from the stagnating effluent. The chemicals may also be transported to my property via vehicles or wildlife that crosses a creek. And these are also issues that have the potential to lower my property values, which will cause me economic hardship. Oak Hill's water is a source for my drinking water, and the proposed wastewater lines will cross my freshwater lines multiple times, causing multiple opportunities for my water to be spoiled if there is an issue with the effluent leaking. Furthermore, developers commonly build these facilities without the intent, obviously, to continuing to ensure that they are maintained or overseen properly. Without a clear responsible party, the wastewater treatment facility may not be properly maintained or governed, causing environmental